Hello and welcome to Pantheon of the Geeks. You join me for the Tale of Two Gamers, and I'm going to be doing a Let's Paint the Sylvaneth. For those of you that don't know what we're doing, Paul and I are doing a Tale of Two Gamers, so we've picked up a starter box set of the Age of Sigmar, and Paul picked the Iron Jaws and I picked the Sylvaneth. The reason I picked these was just something different. It's an army I've not painted before, so I thought, yeah, let's try my hand at it. And I did promise I'd do a painting session, so please bear with me. This is the first one I've ever done, so I'll try and keep it simple. So what I did was I picked up a How to Paint Citadel Miniatures Sylvaneth, and I was hoping it might give me some ideas on painting the Dryads. It's good, it's okay. It didn't really give me what I wanted though, but we'll go through it. So first you get the contents, so you get the Oak and Brow Tree Revenants, base coating, shading, glazing, layering, dry brushing, basing, Kernoth Hunters, spites, leaves, and then you get a list of all the clans that you can do, and then a favourite paint combinations. So here we have an introduction, which is quite good. It gives you a bit of an idea. It tells you what it's going to do in the book. That's the Oak and Brow Tree Revenants. It gives you paints required as well if you want to paint those guys up. It also gives you base coating ideas. And Spite Revenant skin, how to paint that. I found a lot of good interesting techniques in here that I didn't know about, so I might try some of these out when I'm doing the painting. So that's shading and how to shade, and the brushes that you need, which is quite handy, although I tend to use my own way of painting. That's about glazing, which is good because I'm not very good at glazing. I don't do a real awful lot of glazing. Layering, which again is good, it goes through the parts, and the how to paint the Lamentiri. Now I won't be doing this on any of the Dryads because they don't have them, but when I get these Revenants, Tree Revenants, I'll be certainly using this guide. So here we have dry brushing, which I haven't yet mastered. I can sort of do it, but I've not mastered it as much as Paul has. Got basing, which is really good if you want to use the basing paints, the textured paints, or you can get the Shattered Realm ones that are out. Now these are the Kernoth Hunters. It tells you how to paint them and the armour. Your spites, which is using glazes, which I might give a go when I do my Tree Lord, and the leaves on the tabard for the Tree Lord. Also works well with the leaves on the Branch Witch, and also the Dryads because they have leaves as well covering the front part. We have the Harvest Boon clan Vendrith, so that's a bit about them. And then it tells you how to do it, how to paint them, and what paints you need, and what parts you're painting. And then when you get to this page, you can either select if you want to do it a dry brush or if you want to do it layer, which is really good actually. So if you're really adept in doing dry brushing, you can follow that guide. Or if you're like me and just like doing layer brushing, then you can do that guide. So I like that, that's really handy. And those are the paints required for the Harvest Boon clan Vendrith. We have the Heartwood clan, Gilhead. That's about them. And again, the same base, shade, glaze again, dry or layer, and it gives you at the top paints required, and it splits them down into base, shade, glaze, dry and layer. We have the Gnarlroot clan Durnoth, bit about them. And the same. As you can notice, these are all tree revenants, which is great, but like I say, I was hoping for more Dryad ideas, and maybe the branch witch. So we have a Winterleaf Clan Toluthian. Hope I said that right. I have a tendency to murder some of these names. That's about them. And then the painting guide for them. We have the Ironbark Phalian, Clan Phalian. That's about them. And again, painting guide for those guys. We have the Dreadwood Clan Villithal. That's about them. The painting guide for those guys. And then we move on to the outcasts. So we've got the Oakenbrough outcasts. That's about them. I think most of the paintings in White Dwarf of these tree revenants and outcasts are the Oakenbrough sect, if you will. We've got paints required for that. We have the Harvest Spoon outcasts. A bit about them. And then paints you require for them. We have the Dreadwood outcasts. And the paints. And then we've got the favourite paint combinations. So you've got how to do brown, and if you wanted to do the dry or the layer, green, yellow, gold, pale yellow, blue. That's it. So that's a really good little chart to have, and then you've got some nice pictures, pretty pictures at the back, and that's the book. As a book, I like it. I was just hoping for more. I mean, this retails at £6 from Games Workshop. You can't grumble at £6, but I was just hoping for a little more. It just seems to be centred around the tree revenants and the darker guys, of which I forget the name. Just have a look. The outcasts. It'll be handy for when I get those guys and I can follow the painting guide. But what I've done with my Dryads is I've just tried to take out a painting clan that I wanted to do and take away the bark paints that I needed. So what I decided to do was I was looking through each of the blurbs, and the one that jumped out at me was this one, which is Gnarlroot Clan Durnoth. So the wisdom and secrecy just jumped out at me. I just like that kind of interesting history about them. I'm very into the wisdom and secrecy. It's like, I know something you don't know. So So the blurb about them is, among the most ancient of all Sylvaneth, the Gnarlroot are able to draw upon vast reserves of knowledge and lore. As such, they are shrewd and dangerous opponents, but are guarded by nature and cautious of other clans. They bear deep colours which hint at their maturity, while swirling designs hold a visual clue to their mysticism and arcane power. So I really like that. It just jumped out at me and I thought, I like that. So that's the one I'm going to do. So like I said, what I've tried to do is, these are the paints I'll be using, just some of them. Obviously I won't use them all because this is very tailored towards the tree revenants. But as you can see at the bottom here, it's got ideas for light and dark bark. So I'm going for the light bark with this. So I've chosen Mornfang Brown, Agrax Earthshade, Scrag Brown, Deathclaw Brown, and then that's where I finish and I do the green then. So I'm going to be following from here, which is Deathworld Forest, Bilton Green, where are we on this one, Elysian Green, and then Screaming Skull, just to highlight. And I also highlight the bark with Screaming Skull just to give it a bit of a hint of lightness. So let's get painting. Okay, so I've chosen my little Dryad, which is this one here, and I asked Paul to spray it in Chaos Black to start off with. And the first paint we're going to be using is Mornfang Brown. So what you want to do with this is get a good covering of Mornfang Brown over the entire model. So like I say, I don't really go with the brushes that it says, I just use any old brush that comes to hand. So just want to start covering the model all over with the brown. And don't worry too much if you get it on the leaves or anything, you can clean up afterwards. So I'm going to cover this in Mornfang Brown and I'll be back with you once I've finished that. And here we are with the finished model all covered in Mornfang. So like I say, you want a good coverage all over the place, and don't worry if you get it on the leaves, at the front of the leaves, in the branches. You'll be going over them at a later stage. So that's that guy. So I've got to wait for him to dry. However, here's one I prepared earlier. Oh, I'm sorry, I've been watching far too much Blue Peter when I was younger. So this is one I did yesterday, just in Mornfang Brown. So that's just going to go over there for now. So moving on to the next stage. The next stage is to cover this in Agrax to bring out the brown again and the little recesses. So Agrax Earthshade. This is a brand new pot, so hopefully I don't knock it over. And again, I just want to get the shade in all the little recesses and try and bring the features out again. So I'll be back when I've done this. So here we have the model all inked in Agrax. So it's brought it a lot darker, and you can see it's gone in the recesses, which is what you want, so it brings out the lines again, especially around the face and the front and around the back as well. So that's got to be left to dry. So what I did was, I did another one last night. So this is one that's had Agrax and has now dried. So what we're going to do next is, get off my hand, it likes me too much, is Scrag Brown. And we're going to start just gently highlighting bits of the model and hopefully leaving some of the darker lines underneath. So we'll make a start on that. A bit of Scrag Brown on your paintbrush and then just start picking out the lines along the hands, along the arms, along the face as well, and a bit on the face to bring that out, on the forehead. Now it's up to you how much you want to put on. You want to put a lot on to make it very light, or if you just want to put a little bit on just to make it darker but lighter in some areas. And the choice is yours. It's how you see that model being. So, sorry, he was off camera then. So I'll be back when I've done all the colouring on this model. So it's not turning out too badly so far. Quite impressed. So I'll be back when I've done the colouring on this. Is the finished product, and that's with Scrag Brown. Try to keep some of the recesses as much as I can. It's up to you how light or dark you want it to be. Like I say, there's no right or wrong on these guys because they're just so different. So that's that bit done. The next bit is to use Deathclaw Brown. Here, Deathclaw Brown. And just start again picking out some of the lines on the hands and the back and some of the leg parts as well. And especially around the face, start bringing that out a bit. So that is going to be left to dry. But I did do another one. So this is the other guy. So I'm going to start working on this guy and start highlighting bits on him now. So for this next part, as I said, we're using Deathclaw Brown. And what I'm going to do on this one is just pick out lines on it. Again, it's up to you how much you want to use and how much you want to cover the model. You just start picking out bits that you want to be lighter. So for example, the hands, you might want them to be a little bit lighter and show the darker undertones underneath. So for this I'm using an Army Painter Insane detail, and this is a really knackered brush, but it still works for me. A bit more on there. Don't want too much on. So as you can see, I'm just very lightly picking bits out on the model and trying to leave the brown underneath as much as possible. You can hear that in the background. That's the tipper trucks, the rubbish trucks that come around and collect our rubbish. Very nice people taking our rubbish away. Sorry, going off camera again. I'm just going to highlight this area a bit. I'm going to face out ever so slightly. I'm going to swirl on the head that they've got there. I'm really sorry if the model keeps going off camera. I've not done a painting guide before, so please bear with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around the rest of the model and pick out bits and pieces to highlight, and I'll be back with you when I've done that. So you see there's a bit of a difference already. It's coming lighter and leaving the darker bark underneath. So I'll be back with you when I've done that. The finished model with Deathclaw Brown. Again, I've just tried to keep the highlights underneath and just bring to the front some of the features like the face and all the bark on the chest and on the back. So that's that model finished. I'll wait for that one to dry. This is one that I prepared earlier, another one. And what we're going to do next is we're going to start putting some screaming skull, just to highlight the face, around the face, and some of the swirls on the head, and if there's any on the bark at all, and on the legs, and just maybe ever so slightly highlight some of the veins on the back, and maybe some of the little nicks on the roots. So I'll be back when I've done that. So as you can see, I've just highlighted around the mouth and done the circle. Just highlighted it a little bit. Oops, gone out of focus there. Just highlighted bits and pieces. Where I've put too much on, I've just smoothed it down a bit and rubbed it into the model just to make it look a bit more ashen, if you will. So that's that bit done. So the next bit we're going to do is we're going to start on the green now. So we're going to start on doing the leaves on here and the leaves up here. So to start with, we use Deathworld Forest. We just apply this on the model. And again, if you do go over and hit any of the bark, you can always go over it afterwards again. Do a bit of a tidy up afterwards. Like there, for example. And then you've got the leaves up here. And cover those in Deathworld Forest. And if you find any leaves on the legs, sometimes you find leaves at the back or on their arms, you can go over with those with Deathworld Forest. So I'm now going to just carry on doing this, and I'll be back with you when I've done that. See there, I've just done the tabard in green and brought out the leaves on the back. So what we're going to do next is going to shade those with Biltong green. And what I'm also going to do is use Biltong green on this little bit here and just cover that little swirl in Biltong green. So I'll be back when I've done that. So for the swirl, you just need a little bit of Biltong green and just plop it on there like that. If you get any on the brown, it doesn't matter, it'll bring it up, so it just looks ethereal. And then again on the leaves, just to darken them down a little bit. And then on these. There we go. So I'll finish this off and then I'll show you the finished product. So there's the dry model, I hope. So the next one, green, we're going to use is Elysian green, and that's just going to cover the leaves again and the tabard. So it's up to you whether you want to just do highlights on this or whether you want to go over and cover the entire tabard, or whether you just want to pick out little bits of the tabard like so, just along the edges. the leaves again. Just a little touch to bring them up. So you've got something looking like that. So I'm going to go over and do the Elysian green on the model. There we are, we've done the leaves and the tabard. And while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to do the eyes. So for the eyes I used Uriel yellow, and you just need a little blob on your paint brush, not too much. And then with your tongue stuck out at a certain angle, you're going to try and put that little blob in the eye. So I'm going to do this off camera and then I'll show you the finished product afterwards. And there you have the glowing eyes. So all that's left to do now is to highlight the leaves and the front of the tabard with Screaming Skull. That's just a little highlight just along the edges if you want to, just to bring it out a little bit more. So this is one, this is my test model that I did. You can see I've just done ever so slight highlights just on the front to bring out, and the leaves on the back. So that's it. So I'll put him next to them. So that's painting Dryads. So I hope you found this video useful, and like I say, I just tend to pick up brushes that I want to use and I do my own techniques. So my techniques don't mirror Games Workshop, it's just a technique I've picked up over time and I've just run with it. So you might see that I've used dry brushes and different techniques during the video. So thank you very much for watching, and please join me when I paint the Branch Witch and also the Tree Lord. So thank you very much, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye!